Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Yes, welcome to Mind Your Business on The Breakfast Show with Audrey Seek and Ryan Huang. And today we're talking about cars, Ryan, which is a big expense for us here in Singapore, right?
Yep.
It has always been more than just a way to get from point A to point B here. It's a status symbol. It's a sign of independence, even a rite of passage.
Yeah, a car to many people is many things, but the reality is owning a car can sometimes be quite expensive. We're talking about COE premiums smashing record after record.
Yeah.
So not easy sometimes to be able to achieve that dream of owning your own set of wheels. So that's something that I think a lot of people can't really achieve in their lifetime. So something to consider. What are the options out there? So maybe something that can be looked at more closely.
That's right. So that's where our next guest comes in. As co-founder and CEO of GetGo, Toh Ting Feng has already reshaped how thousands of Singaporeans think about short-term car use. Now with his latest venture called ZipZap, he's tackling the space between daily rentals and long-term ownership, offering a subscription-based model designed to make driving more adaptable and financially accessible.
Yeah, so to explore how ZipZap fits into Singapore's broader transportation ecosystem, we are pleased to welcome Toh Ting Feng, CEO of ZipZap and GetGo. Good morning, Ting Feng.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Audrey.
Thank you for zip-zapping into the studio today.
We got to get
Let's
going.
get going, yeah.
Let's get going. So let's start with the big picture here, Ting Feng. You know, with a wider view, how do you read the current state of private car ownership in Singapore? How are, the rising COEs, the high ownership costs, the push for EV adoption as well, changing what access to a car really means for everyday drivers?
Yeah, I think it's a topic that's always top of everyone's mind. I think car ownership, as we all know, is getting increasingly expensive in Singapore for a variety of factors. I think one interesting fact is that only 1 in 3 families in Singapore own a car. So the majority of Singapore families do not have access to a car. But at the same time, we all know that from time to time, there is a need for a flexible and private mobility need, right? It could be bringing kids out, to the zoo. It could be going to the park, or even bringing elderly parents to the hospital. Right? So what we see is that while car ownership is getting less accessible, I think we need to innovate and we need to find new ways to provide that freedom to drive, to move around, be it from time to time or over a more flexible and shorter period. And that's what both GetGo and ZipZap are about.
Yeah, and of course, GetGo's been around for quite some time, and I'm sure you've collected a lot of data to inform you about consumer trends, where to go from here. What have you noticed when it comes to people booking your cars, in terms of some of the insights?
Yeah, I think for GetGo, we're really focused on serving shorter-term flexible use cases. And what we see is that because we have a great public transportation system, many of our families and users do not need to use a car on a daily basis. So what we often see is families and our users using our cars once a week, twice a week, for half a day, really to go about the errands or to go about, enjoying themselves with family and friends.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, you've had a front row seat to some changes. The industry hasn't been without some challenges. We've seen firms struggle with high capital costs and recently, Blue SG scaled back operations as well. In light of all of this, how do you see the role and the relevance of car sharing providers evolving today?
I think car sharing continues to be very relevant. As a car sharing operator ourselves, we do not seek to replace public transportation or car ownership. We see ourselves as a perfect complement for families that need a variety of users for car sharing. I think most importantly, as any company, we need to focus on quality and sustainability as a business. And I think that's what we continue to focus on as we grow both GetGo and ZipZap in terms of our services that we provide to the community.
Yeah, clearly this is a lot of potential in terms of a market that you can tap. But we've also seen a lot of brands come and go. What does it take to stay relevant in that sense? What does the consumer want? What helps a company like GetGo continue to be successful?
I think the most important thing is to provide something of value and to do that in a way which is efficient and sustainable. And I think that's what we are really about. We put our users and the communities that we serve at the heart of our service. And we make sure that we do that in a sustainable and high quality manner. And I think that's what it takes to succeed in an industry such as, the mobility space.
Well, let's get going about ZipZap now, your latest step into the mobility space. Let's get practical for listeners who may be curious about it. How does ZipZap actually work, from sign up to car collection?
Yeah, so ZipZap is a medium-term car subscription rental service. And it starts very easy, like most of the things we do these days. It starts online. You go to zipzap.sg, you fill in a form, and that is really the first simple step to get you started. What happens next is really what we call a personalized consultation. So you will have an opportunity to chat with one of our teammates to really understand your needs. We're not here to push products. We're not here to sell services, but we're really here to understand what is the nature of your needs, what your life stage is at, so that we can recommend both the right car as well as the right duration for your needs as well.
All right, so the subscriptions start from 6 months. So
Yes,
can customers customize their duration, and how much flexibility do they have if their needs change halfway through?
Yeah, so again, we believe in personalizing for the needs of our users. So it starts from 6 months, but anything after that can be quite flexible as well. We also have a big variety of cars that we can offer. And of course, when our subscribers and users have a need to change, I think that's a conversation that we're very happy to support and explore as well.
Okay, so you already have the GetGo model. Who is ZipZap for in a sense? Is it a very different type of market? Is it for private hire vehicle owners? Now, who are you targeting? What are the demographics like?
Yeah, so we're not targeting private hire owners. We're really still targeting families. I think it's the same target audience, but perhaps at a different life stage and a different need. So for GetGo, we target people with the occasional need, once or twice a week. They rely on public transport for most of their needs.
Like going to IKEA to get your cabinets.
That's right. But for ZipZap, we target people with a more intense need over a shorter period.
Okay.
So perhaps people with young kids, had a new baby, moving to a new place. They're not so certain that they want the burdens and the hassle of committing to a 10-year COE, but they really need to move around on a daily basis. And these are really the people that we're looking to serve. Oftentimes, it becomes a binary choice. Do I buy a car or do I not buy a car? And ZipZap is really there to provide that flexible, simple, and really relatively hassle-free option for people to meet those needs over a period.
So I'm curious, what type of cars are we looking at? Are you looking at the high-end scale of things, or EVs, or the, more budget types?
So generally, we believe in accessible mobility. So most of our cars are your standard, Suzuki Swifts or even your Hondas. We do have the ability to provide slightly better cars, but we're not, going to provide Ferraris and stuff like that anytime soon.
Oh, man, Ryan. Well, Ting Feng, we have to talk about cost here, right? What's included in the monthly fee, and how does that compare with the total cost of owning or leasing a car in Singapore?
Yeah, I think for this model, we try and make it as competitive as possible. So what is included in the subscription are things like insurance and servicing. What is not included, of course, is fuel. But we do have great fuel partnerships, which gives our subscribers great discounts. And I think when we look at it from a comparison to ownership perspective, things like the down payment, interest, all those things are things that we take care of, and the subscriber does not have to worry about.
Yeah, I'm looking at a feature here that you are piloting. It's called the subscribe and share feature. How does it work? It sounds like a YouTube thing.
Yeah, but that's a feature that we're really, really excited by. And that goes back to the core of making cars more efficient. So how subscribe and share and works is kind of like a built-in Airbnb feature for your ZipZap subscription.
Oh, wow.
So for example, if Ryan, you were to subscribe to a car for a year, but you happen to go to Japan for a 1 month holiday.
He can share it with me.
Yeah, exactly. Your car would normally sit idle in your parking lot, just wasting away and letting it depreciate. But with the subscribe and share feature, we put two things in your hands. We give you the power to open up your car for sharing by our GetGo users. And by doing so, you benefit from the revenue that's generated when the car is shared.
So the ZipZap car is then entered into the pool for GetGo users.
100% right. 100% right. So we bring the demand and our user pool of GetGo to our ZipZap subscribers to help them offset the cost of the car when they do not need to use it.
All right. So do you see this kind of subscription-based car access becoming more mainstream in the next 5 to 10 years, or do you think it will still remain pretty niche?
I think it's definitely a growing sector. If you look at some of the statistics, I think self-drive car rental numbers have gone up, quite a bit over the last 10 years or so. And increasingly, what we see is that people recognize that from time to time, they do have a need for a vehicle, for a car more intensively. But people are also getting more open to not having that for 10 years as well. Also, with the younger generation, people are much more savvy about how they use and manage the finances. And so we see this really as a growing part, of the mobility scene in Singapore.
Yeah, I'm wondering as well, it's been quite a journey for GetGo. What have been some of the lessons you picked up along the way in terms of addressing pain points, what people have been complaining about? For example, one other thing that comes to mind is how a lot of people complain, someone else dirtied the car or someone else damaged the car. How do you manage all these disputes?
I think it's really going down to understanding our users and their psyche. I think a lot of what we do is trying to promote a spirit of community, especially on the sharing side. I think the other thing that what we realize that people really care about is really flexibility these days, right? People no longer want big, chunky commitments. They want the ability to use things on demand, use things flexibly to meet their needs as well. So I think these are some of the lessons that we've seen. Last but not least is friction, which comes down to convenience and time. And we realize that for a service to be successful and adopted, you really need to make it seamless for people.
Yeah.
And that's the approach that we have for both ZipZap as well as GetGo.
Okay. Another trend we've been seeing, of course, is the strong EV adoption rates that we've tried to pick up here in Singapore. How is ZipZap positioned to support this EV movement? Are you seeing much take-up of electric models among your early users?
It's early days yet. We launched 2 weeks ago, but we see ZipZap as a perfect avenue for people to think and try EVs. Again, because you don't have to commit it to an EV for 10 years. If you are interested in subscribing to an EV from ZipZap, that's definitely possible. And I think it's a great way for people to understand the technology and the nuances in using and operating an EV as well. So we do see interest in subscribing to electric vehicles on ZipZap.
So I think we are just a few weeks into ZipZap taking off. How has been the take-up so far, and what are your expectations? Yeah,
it's been, I think, just over 10 days since we launched the service, and I think we are very fortunate and glad that the initial response and interest has been great, not only from the consumer perspective, but also in terms of media interest and understanding the innovations that we are really rolling out, both in terms of the seamless experience as well as the subscribe and share beta.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ting Feng, for joining us and sharing how ZipZap is aiming to reshape how Singaporeans think about driving. As COE prices and ownership costs continue to shift the mobility landscape, subscription-based models like yours could offer a flexible alternative for the years ahead. So really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That was Toh Ting Feng, CEO of ZipZap and GetGo. Keep it here on Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.